if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry.
When you think of the new car buying experience, what comes to mind? Is it smiles and excitement? Well, that's the type of experience that Ashlee Church, General Manager at Volkswagen of Marion in Southern Illinois, aims to create for her dealership. We're going to sit down with Ashlee to find out a bit more about her background and how that has shaped her perspective in running a dealership on this episode of Vehicle Care Rockstars.
At Volkswagen of Marion, we do things differently. We're innovators in automotive, and we believe that the car buying process doesn't have to be painful.
Can you tell us how you got started in the new car industry?
Yeah, well, I am from a car dealer family. So my grandfather, his last name is Ike, and no one can pronounce it, no one can spell it, so he's always went by Ike his whole life, so that's where Ike comes from. My grandfather came from a family, his dad was a cab driver, his mom was a registered nurse, he lived in Centralia, Illinois, so Central Illinois. He joined the military at a young age, he sold vacuum cleaners door to door, and he moved to St. Louis, and he actually got fired from Sticks, Bear & Fuller, the department store in St. Louis, and he was looking for a way to support his family, and he started selling cars at Ray Rixman Dodge in downtown St. Louis back in the days when the Arch was being built. That's how long ago it was. He ended up moving over to Ackerman Buick in St. Louis and was one of the top salespeople there, and Buick really wanted him to become a dealer. They helped him get a dealership in Vincennes, Indiana. The dealership that he bought had sold 26 new Buicks the year before. He sold 26 new Buicks his first month.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool. Then he had the eventual opportunity to buy out McDermott Buick in Southern Illinois, which then became Ike Buick, and that's how he ended up in Southern Illinois in the 70s and has grown the business ever since. He retired from the business in 2012, and my mom and her two brothers took over. We have a Honda store and we have a Volkswagen store as well, and I run our Volkswagen store.
But despite Ashlee's strong roots in the industry and working in the family business from a young age, she never thought she was actually going to be in the dealership long term.
When I was in high school, my mom said, pick a sport or you need to go to work. And I am one of the most uncoordinated people that you have ever met. So I actually started when I was 14.
Oh, wow, okay.
I started filing service files in the service department. So they were old and dusty and nobody really wanted that job. And started with service cashier. I did some receptionist work, and throughout high school, I had the opportunity to work in all the departments in the dealership. I did payroll, some HR, parts inventory, those kind of things. And over the years, I went to college, I got my MBA, and at 9 years and 7 months, our family gives a 10-year award service plaque. And I always swore I would never get a 10-year plaque from my family's company. So at 9 years and 7 months, I left, went and worked for a great HR services company, an Inc. 5000 company. So got the opportunity to grow with a company and do a lot of expansion, open new offices. And then I got the opportunity to teach for McKendree University part-time, and it wasn't going to work with my work schedule, so I thought, well, I'll go back to the dealership. I was planning on going to law school, so I was studying for the LSATs at the time, and then we started pursuing Volkswagen.
It seems like a no-brainer for most business owners to let their children come back to work in the family business if they show interest. But the response she got this time around was a bit surprising.
I have an incredibly supportive family. You know, they have always been very supportive of me working in the dealership from a young age and getting to know all the departments. I had been working outside the dealership for about a year and a half when I told my mom I wanted to come back.
Yeah, what was that conversation? Did you have to?
That conversation didn't go as well.
For you or them?
I mean, not that they didn't want me to come back, they did. But my mom really wanted me to spread my wings and do something other than join the family business.
Wow, okay.
So, you know, at the time I was studying for the LSAT and planning to go to law school. So I think I kind of talked her into, well, how about I come back? I'll continue to study for the LSAT. We won't make any permanent plans. And she did agree to that. And then, you know, throughout the years, we got the opportunity to really pursue Volkswagen. And I think that that's where things really changed. You know, I think my mom never really saw where I would fit in at the Honda store. I think she knew that I was destined to, you know, do something and, you know, be that that leader and have complete control of something. And I have other family who works in the Honda store as well. And I think she, number one, wasn't sure about the car business and its opportunity, for me. And then second, wasn't sure, where I would fit in with the Honda store. But when we got the opportunity to pursue Volkswagen, that's where things really started to change. And now 10 years later, I'm very confident that she's happy that I've made the decision to stay in the industry.
It's amazing, very cool. So is your mom still on you still have family in the Honda side? I was wondering, does that make you competitors in your market? Like, how are Thanksgivings at your family? Like, is everyone happy? Do you talk business? Do you stay away from it?
My mom and her brothers own both the Honda and the VW store. They do run the day-to-day operations of the Honda store. I run the day-to-day operations of VW. Okay. We surely have some friendly competition, yes. But we also share used car inventory and things of that nature. So in some ways we're competitors, in other ways we're partners, and we work together. But no, the family Thanksgiving is still okay.
Very good, very good. We talked a lot about your mom and her influence. What about your dad? What was your dad's take on all this and what his view and support of your choice?
My dad is incredibly supportive. My dad's actually a community college president. He was a first-generation college graduate. He came from a blue-collar family. So from my dad, I've really learned the value of lifetime learning. And, my dad is not one of those, as I call them, hoity-toity academics. He's a very smart man. But he does not believe that your level of intelligence or what you can contribute is just based on your educational background, like some people in his role might. So my dad has always been one to teach me that you can learn something from anyone. And I think that has been a core of, being able to say, you know what, I can learn something from the janitor. I can learn something from someone who never graduated from high school, the same way that I can learn something from someone who has a PhD or is a dealer principal or is the president of a major automotive company, and being able to say we all have different perspectives, but let me try and understand where different people are coming from. And so that's always been something that my dad has brought. And interestingly enough, that even though my dad is a college president today, he actually worked in the dealership part-time while he got his bachelor's and his graduate degree as well. So he has some level of foundation. And interestingly enough, back in the 80s, he actually ran a newspaper ad for his sales team. He was a sales manager that said men and women wanted. So as early as the 80s, he recognized that women were valuable in the industry. So it's been very cool to have a dad who doesn't work in the industry but has seen the value and has been able to see that change over time. I can tell you when I opened the VW store, I thought I knew everything. I thought, wow, I've been doing this for a long time. I've worked in every department. I've seen how they all run. But it's a different animal when you're actually in the seat. I have learned more from the things I've gotten wrong than I will ever learn from the things I've gotten right. And, sometimes some of those are expensive lessons. Sometimes you lose good people throughout that. But it's always, that having that inward reflection of, okay, this situation went wrong and maybe I couldn't have controlled all the variables in it. But let me have a real conversation with myself here and saying, how could we have not gotten to this point? Or what could I have done differently to mitigate it so that we didn't end up with this outcome? And I've learned so many things through those challenges. And, when another challenge has just been, being young, being female, and being from my family, Well, that job was given to her. She didn't have to work for it. And so over the years, I really had to work to show my team that I am willing to work hard, that I am willing to put in, the late nights, or if things need done in the CRM at 2 a.m., I am the person that they can count on to do those things. Thankfully, I don't pull as many overnights as I did 10 years ago.
Was there like an inflection or a crisis point, or like, oh my gosh, what am I doing in the first year or so?
Things got off to a wonderful start. We opened in a temporary location that was actually a renovated DHL building. Okay. We didn't have a showroom. We actually outsold our VW planning volume from our temporary location.
Oh wow, okay.
So we were there for about a year. We built a $4.5 million white frame facility, which when we had engaged in the process with VW for the open point, they told us us that the white frame was, and I quote, the cost of admission to the VW brand. So as you know, all these manufacturers want these mausoleums, with all their furniture, and it looks great. It's a beautiful facility. But we opened it in March, and about 6 months later, if you're familiar with the TDI crisis that happened with the EPA and VW, we got a notification while I was on my first vacation, actually, since opening. I was in Colorado in Breckenridge, and I opened my email and I saw a stop sale, and I thought, well, that's odd. Didn't really pay too much attention to it. I thought, it's just going to be something that we're going to resolve really quickly and move on. And then I started to see the news and realized that it was something that was going to be a little bit more long-lasting.
The Volkswagen TDI crisis, also known as Dieselgate, proved to be a much bigger issue than Ashlee thought, and it ended up being her greatest challenge to date. But one she was able to overcome with some out-of-the-box thinking and a little empathy.
We had got the VW franchise. One of the main reasons we had pursued them was because of the TDI. We are in a rural market, so we had 47% TDI sales, where the rest of the country was somewhere between 20 and 25%, and we lost that overnight. So we're 6 months in to opening a brand new building with very few vehicles in operation in our market. We lost 47% of our sales, and we had to work through that. It was a long process, but our team is adaptable, and they overcame that challenge, and we're definitely on the other side of it. We're doing fantastic now, but it was definitely a kick in the teeth to only be 6 months in and to be facing a major challenge like that is really something that you have no control over.
Right. Are there any kind of general things that taught you that you'd recommend to people, that like in these crisis moments, these were the things that were important to my business and to my team?
Yeah, I mean, number one is to make sure that your team knows that it's going to be okay. There has been nothing in our company's history that it ever wasn't okay. And now that we're on the other side of it, going back to TDI, anything that happens since our team has survived this, everything is, not that big of a deal now. So we constantly relate back to it. But in the time and going through it, making sure that we took care of our team members, because those who understand dealership compensation structures also understand that they're performance-based. And so there was an immediate change to the dealership's performance. So we guaranteed a lot of wages. We paid out a lot of unearned bonuses and commissions and those kind of things, because we wanted to retain our team through the crisis. So I think that was one of the most pivotal decisions we made. I remember speaking with our ownership very early on and saying, I know that we can get through this, but my fear is, I've done all this work in the last year and a half to build this team. My fear is I'm going to end up on the other side of this alone. And so we did everything that we could to retain our team through it, and we're successful with that.
So you got 10 years in the rearview mirror. What's ahead for the next 10 years? What do you want to do?
Wow. I really want to continue to invest in our team. And so growing the people who work for me now, also bringing new people into the industry and growing them. As I mentioned earlier, when we opened, we weren't bound by doing things the way that they had always been done. So that was just natural and that was easy for us. I think 10 years in, the goal now becomes not to get complacent, not to get too comfortable, because we worked so hard for the first 10 years to set ourselves apart. But now what are we going to do to continue to set ourselves apart? As we've been a market leader in certain things, now other dealerships have improved their customer service. They've improved their online digital presence. So we've got to continue to push the needle. And so for us, it's about continuing to grow those people, bringing in new people, and making sure we don't get complacent.
Recently, you mentioned earlier, too, you were elected to the Regional Dealer Advisory Council for Volkswagen.
That's a mouthful.
It is. I had to look down and read it. Oh, I like that one. RDAC. That's a fun acronym. Tell me about what your role is there and what you hope to do with it.
Sure. So within each manufacturer, they have a Dealer Advisory Council that works with the manufacturer. They have one at the national level and then at the regional level as well. So this is specific to our central region, which covers everything from Texas to, we're here in Ohio, Illinois, Chicago, that region of the country. And the dealers in our area elected me to be their representative. So I'll serve for 3 years, and I'm very excited about that. Number one, I'm excited to learn more, to just be with these other dealers who have been with VW, a lot of them longer than me, and seeing things that work in different stores and the unique challenges that they have. But it's also an opportunity to be able to give feedback to the manufacturer as well. So what's working working with policies and procedures, what's not. And for me too, again, going back to that customer experience, being able to say to our customers, hey, I'm actually this challenge that I can't solve for you, I'm going to take this feedback back to the region, and being able to have those contacts to, I may not be able to solve this problem for you today, but maybe I can work on it at a higher level. And one of my core goals is to change the stereotype of the industry, and part of that I think is just making a difference. And so there's so many ways that we can work to make a difference, and so hopefully this is another one of being able to expand those connections with the manufacturer and build better relationships with the factory, and collaborate with those other VW dealers.
You have a personal and professional motto.
It's hashtag not like the other guys. My personal and professional mission is to change the stereotype of the car business. And it sounds like a marketing slogan, but it's so much more than that to me. It really boils down to two groups of people, for both our clients, the clients that we serve, and for our employees. I want to eradicate the negative stereotypes in the car business. And when people come to work for us and when people buy a car from us, I want them to walk away thinking, wow, that wasn't like my last experience. I bought cars in the past, and maybe it was a difficult experience, or maybe I didn't feel like they were truthful, or they didn't have my best interest at heart. Maybe I was a female coming into the dealership and I didn't feel welcome because I didn't see anyone else who looked like me in the dealership. And so we really want our clients, we want to set ourselves apart. And I started using that hashtag. Now the store kind of uses that hashtag. So yeah, we like to say in many ways we're not like the other guys.
No surprise, we're not like the other guys at Marion VW. It's all about the people, and Ashlee Church, we love you. We know this song.
Okay, Ashlee, we're going to play a little game called B-Sides to get to know you a little better. I'm going to give you a series of choices. You're going to tell us which one you prefer. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, some general questions. Honda or Volkswagen?
Oh, my heart bleeds Honda and Volkswagen blue.
The Arteon or the Jetta?
The Arteon.
Of your German competitors, Audi or Porsche?
Audi.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
St. Louis or Kansas City barbecue?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go with Kansas City.
All right, well, you're on Vehicle Care Rockstars, so we got to talk about music. Rock or rap?
Rock.
Snoop Dogg or Missy Elliott?
Snoop.
Laid back. Okay, rock or country?
Country.
Garth Brooks or Justin Moore?
Ooh, I love both, but Garth is definitely the original OG.
Okay, well, give us your favorite Garth Brooks song.
My favorite Garth Brooks song. Man, there's so many, it's so hard to pick. Much too young.
Taylor Swift or Luke Combs?
Taylor Swift.
How much would you pay to go to a Taylor Swift concert?
Oh, not as much. I'm never gonna go to a Taylor Swift concert.
What was your first concert?
My first concert was Garth Brooks.
The last concert you went to?
Garth Brooks.
Favorite concert?
Garth Brooks.
Okay, so we hear you like to travel, so here are a few destinations we want to get your thoughts on. Weekend in Nashville or St. Louis?
Nashville.
Beach or mountains?
I love the mountains.
Backpacking in the Rockies or the Alps?
Probably gonna go with the Alps, but I do love the Rockies.
Alaska or Hawaii?
Ooh, I love both, but Alaska, everyone needs to go to Alaska at least once.
Where is your next vacation you want to go?
I am going to Peru to hike Machu Picchu.
Favorite place you've been?
My favorite place I've been, gosh, there are so many for many different reasons, but I probably have to say Alaska.
Very good. Thank you so much for doing this wonderful job.
Absolutely, I've had a great time today.
And I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition, and yawn and stretch and try to come to life.
Ashlee certainly poured herself a cup of ambition, going beyond the family business and aspiring to be hashtag not like the other guys. Be sure to check out all of our conversations with Ashlee, and thanks so much for watching Vehicle Care Rockstars.